Okay, it is 6 o'clock by our board clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do need a motion to adopt the agenda with addendum, please.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to adopt that agenda with addendum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 3.0, approval of minutes, October 16th.
So moved again.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 4.0, consideration of bills and warrants. Any questions or comments for the bills?
Move to accept bills and warrants.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those bills and warrants as printed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. Do we have anyone that would like to address the board? Okay, seeing none and hearing none, moving to 6.0, report of the superintendent of schools.
All right, so first on my agenda is parent-teacher conferences. Since the last time we met, we've had conferences. We had decent turnout. Elementary numbers look really good. All of those numbers were in your view, I think October the 27th. You got something that looked like this that gave you the attendance for the last few years. What we noticed is in trend is this. In the fall, middle school, high school, the numbers aren't as good. They're much better in the spring, and we think that's because we've implemented the student-led conference. It makes more sense. Those kids are old enough to articulate what they're learning, what they're working on. So moving forward next year, we'll have them this spring, student-led, and then moving forward next year, our middle school, high school will have student-led conferences both in the fall and in the spring. But those numbers in the elementaries were up in the 90s. We need for those numbers, middle school, high school, to get higher. So if you're thinking, oh, my kids in high school, I've been to conferences 52 times since they were 5, that's okay, because now they're not, they're learning something new. We want for you to come. And so it's important for parents to do that. So next on the agenda was the KASB convention. So that update was in the view. Mike and I went week before last and spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's, that's where they have the delegates are there and they vote. You have updates, you go to workshops, went to a few workshops and learned some new things. Learn something, you go in and you think, oh, okay, well, it's nice to go and you see the things that we're doing, so it affirms what we do, and then you always learn something new. So we had that. November 13th, professional development. That was the differentiated day. We had over 80 choices, right, that people could make. 60. About 60 choices, and they even said that was too many. Each little session was 30 minutes. So some teachers, some outside staff came, all the administrators presented. We've gotten the feedback. It's always very positive when they get to select their own learning. They wanted the sessions to be a little longer, and we're going to work on how we sign up for those sessions next year. But it was good. Yeah. It was good. It's always.
Did you ask for volunteers? Is that how you got so many?
Mm-hmm. Jeff met with the instructional coaches.
Yeah, and then we talked with the administrators and get input from them, because they're in the classrooms a lot,
Right.
and this teacher does this really well, and so we kind of request or ask.
Well, that's great that you had that many.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that shows confidence and.
Oh, yeah. Well, and a lot of the teachers said, well, I went to Greenbush and saw this person, and she was really good.
Yeah.
Or I saw this person, can we have them come? And they came as well.
And we also
So-
ask, what topics are you wanting to learn about, and AI, and obviously the brain science and diversity, and so we had some really good topics, good presenters. It was, I think, very well received.
Yeah, we had a group that came and talked about capers and the 82 different choices that there are literally to make.
Really?
You only get to make one time when
Right.
you retire.
Yeah.
And so that was good. People were interested in learning. It was a good day full of learning, so we're glad. So ESSER update, everything's allocated. It's the task force review, which means it's still just hanging out, waiting for the State Board of Ed to approve that last $107,000. That's what's going to be used to buy math curriculum, which has already been approved by KSDE. Shouldn't be there's not a problem. It's just the State Board is, instead of doing ESSER plans every single month in big chunks, they're doing smaller chunks every other, so we should be on the agenda for December, I would think. So
Will there be any more future ESSER funding available?
not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. Looks like that's about it. And we've known that's coming, so we've adjusted, how we pay people, positions that we have, some positions that we had last year that left, or retired, we didn't fill again, thinking then that gave us some flexibility with the positions that we've created with those ESSER funds, or we added those positions to other grants that we have, some of the nursing, some of the social work. So I'm not aware of any more ESSER funds that are coming. And when you see the report, which I have for you, the ESSER 3 report, if you'd like to look at it. It was nice to have the funding, it really was. The pandemic was not so nice. We definitely learned a lot during that. Strategic planning, that update, it's time for a new strategic plan. We're going to start that in January of this year. January 2nd is our first PD day back, and that day Jeff and I are going to kick it off with the whole group and talk about, just different areas and topics and things that are of interest to them. Then we're going to meet with small groups during that day. First 2 weeks of January, we're going to be meeting with community groups, parent groups, teacher groups, student groups, to getting feedback and input on things that they think are important for our district to be doing. Obviously, that's a conversation you're going to be a part of as well. So once we have all of that data, then we'll bring that back and share that with the board so the board can determine kind of where they'd like to go and move with that. So that's going to start in earnest in January. That is a 5-year plan, and it'll coincide right with our accreditation cycle, which is also a 5-year plan. We've got Thanksgiving coming up this week, so their students are not in session, teachers are not in session Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have much to be thankful for, so we hope people enjoy that time with family. On December the 15th, that's the last day of second quarter. It's a half day for students. They dismiss at noon. Yes, we're going to feed them. Yes, they're staying till 12 o'clock. Okay? And then the buses will run. Then teachers have that afternoon to do grade cards and to get that ready. We have winter recess December 19th through the 1st of January. January 2nd, that's that staff PD day when we're going to kick off strategic planning 101, and we're going to start to build that plan. And then students return on January the 3rd. So, any questions?
Lori, I might add that at the KSB convention, we did elect Kevin Cole from Altamont as the president-elect. He'll be taking office in 2 years as president.
Good man.
Good man, yeah.
It's nice to have a Southeast Kansas person. We always get together at KASB.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to 7.0, reports by principals.
All right, and you have a paper copy of Ms. Gardner's report. She's not able to join us this evening. And I know the others are going to get in here. There's some ball game on today at 7 o'clock. I think it's like a rematch of the Super Bowl or something, is what I've heard. And KU's playing too, so. Hi, Karen. Blue and red right now.
Okay, I thought I'd take this opportunity, since we're not here every month, to tell you about some of the stuff we've been getting our students ready for, like after high school. We had 65 seniors participate in the Applied Campus event that took place on November 7th. The students in the class of 2024 have already applied to over 110 colleges. That includes universities, two-year schools, trade and technical schools. We visited all our local community colleges, Labette, Independence, Neosho. 11 colleges have visited here, including PSU, MSSU, KU, Wichita State, Oklahoma, NEO. We've also taken kids on business tours to DeCommon, Tank Connection, Sun Graphics, and Alexander Manufacturing, for some of those students that are going to go into business right out of high school instead of college. All juniors and seniors attended a college planning conference at Labette Community College, and there were 50 colleges there with informational booths set up to talk to students about options for higher education. We also hosted Seroptimus International Lunch with Leading Ladies. 20 sophomore and junior students who are interested in photography or a career in a creative field were invited to attend lunch from 2 local businesswomen that spoke, and they were Becky Danik and Rebecca Shepard. They came in and spoke, and then Becky Danik came back and spoke about the Parsons Area Community Foundation with Mrs. Lucas's class. CTE took students to open house Pitt State on November 3rd. Our local theater opened up for our honors English, 11 students who read the novel Killers of the Flower Moon. They got to go see that, so thank you to our local theater. And Mrs. Clay took students to ICC for the complete works of Shakespeare and ICC Fine Arts Day. Also, I want to mention to senior parents, the FAFSA, which originally opens on October 1st, is now opening in December 31st. We're usually done with it. So we will host a day in January. We're going to pick that day where parents come and complete that form for federal financial aid. So that's what we're doing on that side.
Lots of teaching and learning.
So I mainly deal with the discipline and sports. So discipline-wise, we looked at our numbers after the first 9 weeks. And the biggest thing that stood out to us was too many unexcused absences, and not the ones where a kid wakes up late or they get called out, things like that. But they're here and then they skip an hour, hide in the library or the gym or wherever. So that was what we wanted to focus on. So we implemented, I wouldn't say it's a new policy, but just we're going to really hold these kids accountable to be where they're supposed to be. So we're on week 3 of that, and I think we've seen great strides as far as students being where they're supposed to be. There's still a handful that I'm chasing down every day or two, but the majority have taken notice of it and they're doing a good job being where they're supposed to be. So feel really good about that. We have e-hall pass coming. I know the middle school has implemented that all semester. So Mr. Barkus and I will go get trained on that a little bit. So between e-hall pass and the policy we put in place, I think that'll really help with attendance, making sure people are where they're supposed to be. You can't get educated if you're not in class. So that's important to us. As far as sports activities go, we wrapped up the fall sports season a week ago last Friday. Football ended 9-2, lost to Hayden. Hayden is in the state championship Saturday, so no shame in losing to them. They had a great season. Volleyball finished up 20-15. They had a great season as well, did some great things. Cross country and soccer finished up. Winter sports are on week 2. We had practice last week. Around 30-ish boys playing, 13 girls basketball, and wrestling in the 20s between boys and girls. We also conducted our emergency action plan today, where the coaches, the players, the students, everybody involved, we make sure they know where the AED is, the policy for what do we do in this situation, who do we call, where's the phone, where do we go to the training room, do we go to the main gym. So they kind of go through that just to make sure everything, if something was to happen, everybody could respond. I told Coach Houck, if he's in there by himself and he passed out, well, the boys know what to do. And so that was kind of the point of it, because the coaches mainly know what they're doing. They know where stuff's at, but do the players, the students, because you'll see that every once in a while where a team has to react instead of a coach. So they went through that today. That was good. We had the school play last week. That was very good. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Very good play. They did a great job. That was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Debate has been in action. We've had several first place finishes, several second. They've been doing a great job. Chess, they went to some tournaments, brought home some trophies. And Scholars Bowl went to their first tournament last Thursday, I believe it was. So a lot of activities going on, winter sports kicking off. Pretty much all good stuff. I've been really proud of everything that has to do with the Parsons High School athletics, activities, the kids, the reactions. So very good.
It's been a good time. Before football last week, or the week before, we did have a student that said to me, "We haven't played this well since 1975." And I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "Wow," and he's like, 1975, and then he said, "Wait, were you alive in 1975?" And I said, "Yes, Mr. Barkus and I were both alive in 1975. Mr. Thompson wasn't alive in 1975, but yeah, kids were very excited. It's fun to go to the high school. It feels good when you walk in. Lots of things going on."
Questions or comments?
This is a good report too. I like to see all the different colleges that, like trades, colleges, all of that. Upstate, I love it. Thank you.
All right.
I think it's great they got to go to Killers of the Flower Moon. And that they read it, so they could go. That's great.
Thanks, guys.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. I'll kind of get started with student achievement. Our attendance is trending the positive way. There's 3 different measurements that are kind of standing out, and it's inside of our building. It's our first wildly important goal. It's the number one thing we look at, kind of like what Mr. Thompson said. It's hard to educate the students if they're not here. And it's been a focus with the state also, reducing chronic absenteeism. In our building, chronic absenteeism is currently down to 17%. Last year, it was at 29%, and the year before that, it was at 30%. So we're off to a great start this semester. Students attending 95% or more school days is also up this school year. Right now, 55% of our students have attended 95% or more of days. Last year, that was down at 45%, and the year before that, it was 31%. And then finally, our average daily attendance rate is also up again for the second year in a row. This year, right now, we're currently sitting at about 94%. Last year, it was 93%, and the year before that, it was 90%. So by all measurements, our attendance is getting better from year to year, and we're going to keep that kind of at the forefront of what we do daily. Last week, our staff completed the panorama surveys. The panorama surveys are used to measure school climate. It's a number of different topics, and it changes a little bit from year to year. But the three topics that have been the same or on that survey from the fall of 2021 to today included school climate, school leadership, and staff leadership relationships. All three of these topics continue to grow, and this was the highest that they've been. And so for going on, 3 school years, those three measurements have been a focus of ours, and we continue to see growth in that. And so the building climate is looking good whenever we survey the staff. Finally, well, not finally, but we've taken myself, Mrs. Barkis, Nolting was able to go with us to Royster Middle School at Chanute, and Mrs. Quaren. We visited Pittsburgh. We wanted to see what the other schools were doing with their intervention time and what they were doing about tiered supports for students. And so we have, a very diverse group of a student population, and we wanted to see how local schools are supporting their diversity and their difference in learning levels inside of their buildings. We went to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was kind of a hybrid of standards-based grading. They had Dragon Time that they do those interventions in. Royster uses Rocket Time where they do those things. Whenever both of those visits, we didn't come back with things that we want to change immediately. What we saw a lot of was extended time to complete assignments, and we saw a lot of retesting or the students taking the same assessment again just to better themselves. That was more of kind of like a study hall feel in both of those. We think that right now what we're using with Mrs. Smythe and our ELA interventionist and in our support classes that we've built into the schedule where our teachers are able to identify specific standards that the students are performing low on and then group those students according to ability level and give them very intense instruction in those areas. I think that that's more reflective of more like an elementary intervention. And so we left both of those. They weren't wastes of time by any means. We left Pittsburgh, and there's a book now that all 4 of us are reading, and it's, I don't even know if I put it in here. Yeah, it's a repair kit for broken grading. And so it's kind of focusing more on the standards inside of the grading practices. And those 4 building leaders, including myself, we're going to be reading that and kind of discussing that with our building leadership team monthly as we kind of move forward throughout the school year. And then at Royster, their lead principal, he wants to kind of reciprocate that. He wants to send his ELA teachers over to see ours. Now I wanted to quote him because that's what our whole discussion was on, was like interventions and fair grading practices. And so in our discussions with him, and this is like loose, so I hope he's not watching this. I don't want to quit. I hope he doesn't hold me accountable for this. But loosely what he said was, you cannot intervene your way out of bad tier 1 instruction. And so it doesn't really matter what your tier 2 and tier 3 interventions look like if your tier 1 teaching isn't solid and on point. And so that was kind of the point of him wanting to reciprocate it, is he wants to see his ELA teachers come and get a view or an observation of our ELA department using that support time that we've built in, and actually see what kind of our ELA interventionist is doing daily. And so that was a nice little kind of network that we set up with those visits. We were able to take something back from both of them, but ideally, whenever we went to those, we were looking at how to best support our tiered students and their ability levels. And we're not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. We think what we got going on is pretty effective, and we're going to kind of stay the course for now. But we've stolen a couple of little pieces that we want to try later on down the road, or start kind of switching our thinking and our building philosophy behind the grade book. And then finally, we've got holidays are coming up, and so like this morning I was reading through my emails trying to organize everything from like the Sunshine Committee to our social committee, and what our office staff and students are wanting to do for everybody. And so we've got desserts for staff tomorrow in the lunchroom, or I'm sorry, in the teacher's lounge. Students have been working on our Stella Wells tree that's going to be auctioned off. Mrs. Ray got to come and do a walk through this today, and we showed her our tree. Everything on our Stella Wells tree was created by the students. It was 3D printed. We used the Emint's 3D printers in our Intro to Tech lab with Mr. Kampmeyer. He kind of took on the Stella Wells tree, knowing that we were going to use those 3D printers. Every single decoration that's on that team, or tree, ornament, every ornament on there is Viking theme. It's all Viking colors. It's different shields throughout the year. It's the male Viking, it's the female Viking. It's, you know, the chains that they've built. They've got little ships. It's just every ornament on there is a Viking theme, and it was printed right there at the middle school, and it's completely kind of student driven. It is cool.
awesome.
We're hoping it sells for a lot of money.
It
Really is.
Yeah.
To know that, I mean, our kids programmed it and then ran it.
Do you
And-
have like signage up by the tree that says?
That's what was our suggestion
Yeah.
today, was
Okay.
make sure that we explain that this
Okay.
was completely
Because, yeah.
11 to 14-year-olds working on
Well,
this.
they always have one at the auction
Yeah.
that
And
explains it
so they're all,
too.
yeah,
I thought it
they're,
was like printed all in
Yeah,
house and all.
right.
I mean, because
they're gonna have
a
Right.
passive Viking
pictures of
supporter
the
that would-
kids
Mhm.
at the actual printers doing the
We need to
work
take
down
pictures of them.
underneath. Yeah.
We've got kids that they've really, sunk their teeth into this, and so every day in the
That's so
hallway,
fun.
they're showing me the ornament that they're working on, or that they just designed on their Chromebook, so that whenever they go back in there, it takes a minute. It's, they're not the best printers. They're, funded federally, and so it takes a couple hours for them to print off. They schedule them and they print all night, and then usually it's done by the next day whenever they walk in there. But yeah,
Super exciting.
completely student driven. We've also got our tradition, which is the door decorating contest with our Viking times. And Nolting is sponsoring a grade level family Christmas photo. So the office is going to do like a family Christmas photo. And then each grade level, yeah, we're all going to smile and be really good about it. And great attitudes. And 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade are going to do it. And then we're going to do like a Penny Wars type of a fun competition with those to see who can do the most.
We'll put them on Facebook too, don't worry.
Yeah. It'll get blasted everywhere. And then, but that's what I've got as far as like student achievement and what's going on at the middle school right now. And then she has our activities.
I'm gonna go into social emotional first. So we did a relationship survey recently and just had students identify which adults in the building that they have a good relationship with. And I thought it was really cool that 97% of our students identified 2 or more adults in the building that they have a relationship with. There were only,
Significant relationship.
I'm sorry?
Significant relationship.
Yeah, significant relationship with, like, they are able to identify.
Good point.
Yeah, this person, a positive relationship, yes. So only 8 students in the whole building identified 1, and no students identified 0. So I thought that was really cool. We've been really intentional about building those relationships, and we can see that paying off now. Something else that we did recently, we kind of stole it from the elementary, is we did a bullying survey. So our counselor went in and visited all of the students and did a lesson on bullying and what that really looks like versus like pure feedback. And then we did a survey to see what students think about bullying, if they're being bullied, stuff like that, so that we can get some preliminary data. So our social emotional team, when we meet in January, can see where we need to go from there. One thing that we're already going to implement is we're going to put the student report form on the website as well. So right now we have a bullying form on there, but we're going to put the student report form that right now is just a paper copy, so they can fill it out in either location. Because I have a whole stack of them, and I think having the data from it being online will be beneficial.
So the students can do it online,
Yep.
is that what you're saying?
Yep. So right now they come to the office and they fill it out, but what we were seeing is students didn't want to come to the office to fill it out, or they didn't want to ask where it was, or, they wanted it to be more personal.
Right.
So this way they'll be able to access it on their Chromebook and fill it out wherever, whenever. Our activities, we had girls basketball, we have 18 girls playing 3 teams. So we do a combined C team. We do a 7th grade A and an 8th grade A. And they had their first win last Thursday against Coffeyville. So that was really awesome.
Very exciting.
Yes, they were. Wrestling, we have 20 kids wrestling. They've been very successful this year. We have our last home tournament tomorrow, and we're going to do that in front of the students in 7th hour. So they'll get to see all of their peers wrestle, and I hope that will be really good. Boys basketball will start December 11th, so we'll get boys going soon. We'll see what those numbers look like. Esports, we're all set up and ready. Just gonna start as a club in January. So we're not going to join an actual league yet. We'll wait and see what our interest is. We're going to do the game Rocket League. So it's like a soccer game, very PG. Chess, this last weekend, they placed second as a team. And Scholars Bowl, they had their first meeting today and had 15 kids come.
Great.
I think that's really cool.
Good numbers.
Yeah.
Good stuff going on.
Any questions or comments?
There's a league for esports?
Oh, yeah.
They're college scholars.
Now there's
There's
Yeah.
so many, yeah. That's why we wanted to
Wow.
start it, because
Yeah.
there's so much opportunity in college for
And
these
it's all like
scholarships.
gaming, not,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, that's great that we're giving that opportunity too.
Come check it, they finished setting up the,
It's a lab. It
pra-
looks
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
practice
the-
facility. Then the
big
tech lab, it's right
TVs.
next to the 3D printers. It
That's
goes in there,
awesome.
yeah.
It is really cool.
I got
And
the
we're doing it on
sponsoring.
Xbox
Who's the
this year.
sponsor?
We'll see. Joe Campmeyer.
Yeah, he's a man of all trades.
Yeah,
He's doing the
he's
Stella Wells tree, fax.
Today you made a roast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
let's
another
save it
day for
live.
Joey.
Joe can do it all.
That's neat that
Hey, you
we're
better
offering that
roast.
opportunity. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the high school's also going to implement that soon.
We had bought the equipment and things right before COVID, because that had been the plan, and then COVID, and then since then, we hadn't gotten back into it, and when Olivia, she was like, we've got to get this out, and Tyler said, go for it, so.
And they were like, oh, we almost sold it.
Yeah, we almost did so, but we've got it, and so they'll do Rocket League, and so eventually, but right now, it'll just be a club.
Yeah, kids are pretty excited about it, though.
I bet they are.
Anytime they can hang out with their friends and play video games.
Well, it's finding a niche for those kids to be
Yeah.
involved that maybe already in some others.
There's something for everyone.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, appreciate
Thank you.
it. I think that tree is Dr. and Julie Legner tree. Yes.
We should put it in his office.
$5,000 to $6,000, I estimate. So I think
Last year,
that-
that went, it went for like 11,000.
Okay,
That
well.
one in his office.
We didn't buy it.
The Granson Alley?
Louisa Leader.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a big tree, yeah, it was.
Hello.
Good evening. You want to go first?
Who's first on the list?
You can go first.
Okay. Are you guys ready for the Garfield School update?
We are.
Okay.
Wait, I better go first.
That's my stuff in case they ask questions, please. Okay, fall conferences. I'm going back over, you're probably going to hear some repeats of some things you heard from either the superintendent report and/or the other principal's report. Our fall conference, we're very well attended. Our goal is 95%, we hit 94.2. So one more parent would have got us there. So very nice number. We firmly believe family and home connections happen much more often than parent-teacher conferences, but it's still a very, very important place for us to make sure that we hit a really high number as far as attendance. One thing we have coming up is our fall predictive state test interim assessment. It's scheduled the week of December 4th. This isn't a test that Garfield has typically taken in the past. It's kind of something that we're taking on now. We feel that our legacy of achievement can only be increased by using the data that the test will show, where we're falling short, where our strengths already lie, so we can be more formative in our instructional practices. Another thing, the differentiated PD day was already talked about, but our staff overwhelmingly had great things to say about the presenters, especially at the differentiated PD day in November. The day offered a number of opportunities, as you already heard, for our staff to learn new strategies and to deepen their understanding of those that are already in their toolboxes. So we thank the district leadership for designing that. It really is a nice thing for the staff to be able to choose what they get to learn about. Today we had a wonderful activity at Garfield. Our staff Thanksgiving meal was held today. It's something I stole from Mr. Freeze years ago. We had some awesome volunteers come in and help. Our PTO came in and helped. My daughters are back from college, yay. So they came in and helped. My mom, who used to work at Garfield, also came in and helped us out. So we had a kind of a good family atmosphere. So we could get all of our staff, our nutrition staff, our custodial staff, our support staff, everybody in the same room eating dinner for an hour today. So yesterday I smoked a couple turkeys and a ham, and I took them in today, and it was just a really nice thing. It's something that I remember from my time at Guthridge extremely fondly. It's just a time to get there and be grateful for each other, just to fellowship and just to have a little bit of time and just show that we really care about each other and the direction we're going. When I got a chance to step away from my coverage of students, the staff were having a great time. So it was really a nice thing. So I hope everybody really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate the support we had from our volunteers. And yesterday was my daughter and son's birthday, and they both lost a little time for me smoking turkeys, but they were very, very generous with their understanding. Also, you heard about our fall panorama teacher and student perception surveys. Those are completed, so we did get to see some really nice numbers at Garfield. Things look really great. There are definitely some areas that we can always improve on. That's one thing that we always try to embrace in our data, are the good things and the things that we can work on and increase our productivity and our climate in different areas. But overall, things are looking really good at Garfield, according to our surveys. Let's see, next, on to our after-school air program is up and running strong. We have over 60 students that have volunteered to give us an extra hour of their day to learn, just get some extra learning time in. The district leadership has supported us and you guys greatly with ESSER funding for learning loss to help out with that. We know that those staff are they really have embraced that. They really have embraced, they know that that's kind of free money. They know that's free learning, that we get that extra time with those kids. And when I walk through those classrooms, there's rigorous, intentional learning going on. So it's an excellent program. I'd like to really thank Ms. McCleary and the title crew for all the work they do on that, and the staff who volunteered to work overtime to do that. Huge thank you to the district for supporting that program. Last, definitely not least, this is my finally. We have an amazing amount of learning going on at Garfield. We have a number of students who have completed their entire math fact practice program, several who have made it on the island, which is completing their entire study island grade level content area. And our FastBridge progress monitoring shows near universal growth from our reading interventions. So our progress monitoring looks great. As a matter of fact, I was looking at it today, and we're probably going to have to add a bunch of new math groups at the semester, because many of our kids are working their way out of intervention groups totally. So that's a really dynamite thing for our title team to be doing. Let's see, FastBridge progress monitoring, we got that. It's a great thing to see all the hard work going on in our classrooms. When I walk through our classrooms, it's just an amazing thing. You know, we go through there, we see engaging lessons, teachers working hard every single day. I just want to say a thank you to our faculty and staff for always giving their best to our students. They really do a great job, so that's all I have.
All right. What he said. I'm glad, the Thanksgiving family thing's pretty nice. Mr. Droney's always done that for us, and I'm glad you guys took it. I stole a good idea from him, which is what we're going to talk about this evening, is the morning assemblies. I talked to him last year, and know something he did at Erie, and it's really been good. Last year, we kind of worked it, and this year it's going better. So every morning we've got all the kids in there, and we're able to go over like the theme of the day and reward birthdays and positive office referrals. And Miss Martinez kind of helps me join me, or if there's other teachers with things. But like September was Be Kind Month. We had some posters every day. We read the posters, we put them up in the building, try to just keep talking about being kind, and then we moved to bullying. And, the middle school mentioned the survey we use the same survey. Miss Ray always says perfect attendance is perfect, and Terry Smith would always say this is the school. And then when he saw my bullying survey, he said, this is just a sting operation to identify kids. And so I tweaked it a little bit, but we gave our bullying survey we did it after we talked about bullying every day in October, because when you're around 8 through 12-year-olds, when you mention bullying, you're just asking them to tattle nonstop. But we used to give a survey before October, so then I'd have the list of names and where things were happening. And I thought, I'm going to do it after. So we did it basically the day before Halloween, and the data was about the same, so I'm not a very good teacher. I taught a bullying lesson every day. But what you end up with is like 88% of our kids felt safe all the time. And one of the themes I noticed, there's 4 or 5 students that may have not understood the questions, because now we can trace it through their emails, and I can go look. So there's 4 students said they never feel safe, and then I've talked to those 4 students at different times, never to put them on the, make them feel uncomfortable in the principal's office, and they kind of didn't quite understand what they were clicking, but the data is as reliable as the kids that put it in, but it does give us some good information about how safe our schools. And then we had 56 kids get identified as bullying type behaviors, and only 12 students said they told a staff member at the school. So, most of us I told my mom, I didn't report it to anybody. But, so one of the things we keep talking about is the first rule is if you see something, say something. We want to have a safe school, and hopefully we'll get to where kids all feel safe, whether they don't know what they're clicking or not. You want kids to walk in and be happy. And then in November's Attitude of Gratitude, Ms. Martinez joins me every morning. This past weekend, since November started, we invited kids to come up and say something they're thankful for, or write thank you notes. Kind of stole that idea from what I saw. The high school did that with just an outstanding, to watch my wife read all her, just like, wow, it's a good idea. So I'll probably add that more officially instead of just having them write little notes. I like the way that they collected the data, collected them, and then gave them to the teachers. It meant a lot to me to watch my wife read those, and I thought, because I got a bunch on my desk that the kids write you, but to see them all together is pretty impactful. And then we have a bullying poster winners from each classroom. I'm going to announce those winners, and they get to have dinner. Dinner with me is not as big as reward as I buy their dinner, and they get to go, so that'll be fun. But Sydney Doogie, Coco Alamayu, Maggie Espinosa de la Cueva, Shane Keichel, Preston Howard, Riot Leahy, Aurora Neal, Sophia Cuevas Castaneda, Jensen Drummond, Forrest Harrison, and Braylon McCall. Their posters will be up all year. So if you come in our building, you'll see it, and they're going to have dinner first week of December when we come back. We had our another site council meeting on November 8th, very well attended. Ms. Martinez was our guest presenter. People asked some good questions. We were able to share some of Mr. Pegues' data that shows some of the, we outperform our risk factors. Did I say it?
Outperform our risk factors.
I like that.
That's right.
But the students are learning, whether they come here, they come really well prepared from Garfield. And our teachers have really done a great job of trying to make sure we win that relay race and track. I always talk about, if you hand him over to me in 50 percentile, let's hand him off in the 50 percentile or better. So I kind of bounced around a little bit. You're a tough act to follow, but let me think what else. I stole your idea. We had our staff dinner today. It was good. I played bingo. I was the bingo person. We gave away your cups. Remember those cups you had?
Oh, from all those cups from Walmart?
We gave a case of those, and they were
Really excited.
usually I have some of our at-risk candies and things they pick, but when I pulled those cups out, they were dialed in. And then we had a few brain breaks built in there, and Emma Bird won our rock, paper, scissors challenge, so 5th grade won from Mr. Wilson's class. Very positive attitude, very positive atmosphere in Guthridge this year too, and our survey reflects that, which those surveys are like, they can be painful. Anonymous surveys, they can hurt sometimes. I was happy with ours this year. There's some areas we can get better, but it's nice to know the people you work with appreciate what you're doing and they're working hard. But any questions for Guthridge? Nope. Any for Garfield?
We just have to get you guys to stick around a couple more hours.
I'm going ahead of middle school next time the Chiefs play.
Oh, okay.
I had one finally. I had 7 finally.
He's already left.
I have a comment from a parent perspective at Garfield. I mean, I don't have kids at Guthridge yet, obviously, but the assemblies in the morning, it's been life-changing. I feel like the buy-in you're getting from kids, they're talking about it all day. I'm in the school, obviously, with PTO, and they're all repeating like what Mr. Pontius said this morning, and like when we did the little arm clingies for a fundraiser, they're all talking about it. So it is very impactful for 2nd and 3rd graders and very effective, and I love it.
Which is also a stolen idea. Same thing I tell my teachers, great educators are thieves.
Yeah.
If it's a good idea, we steal it.
That's right.
I second that.
Reinvent the wheel, of course, because that is working.
It's a culture building tool that
Yep.
it works so well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So well.
it is.
I'm glad you had sense enough to steal it.
Yeah.
I talked to him last year. Yeah, it makes the kids, they walk in the classroom, it's not so before, you had a lot of kids in different areas and.
Sure.
Focuses them before the day starts.
Yeah, we were able to do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. That kind of brings us together, and then we walk out the same way. Routines and procedures, they just make all the difference.
Feel like a family.
Yep.
Well, it does help build those relationships
It
too,
does,
big time.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, men, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys. Really, thank you a lot.
Okay, we'll move on to the maintenance facilities update.
Okay, and so Eric provided a sheet that looks like this. It says maintenance across the top, and this is the report that he's going to go over. In your view this week, last week, actually, there were a couple maps. And so I went ahead and printed hard copies of those and put them in this. So you've got those.
Okay,
All right. Maintenance of facility updates, fire panel. One at Guthridge, we're currently working with a couple companies trying to figure out our best route. It's not an entirely old system, but we've had issues with it for the last year and a half that I know of. And right now, I think we're on a good lead to how to get that resolved. We have new elevator guidelines. This is new in 2022. The Kansas Elevator Safety Act was established, and we now must register the elevators with the State Fire Marshal's office. We did find a couple issues that we're getting resolved. One which being we need to have a device that will dispatch 911 if we do have an issue in the elevator. The other ones were fairly simple, getting the fire extinguisher there and some things that just were overlooked. Another one, we're working with Precision Concrete. We have a few trip hazards throughout the district that we're getting taken care of, and that actually starts tomorrow, and they should be done Wednesday. Anything that's 3/4 of an inch or taller, we're knocking them out. We don't need our kids tripping and getting hurt.
Or teachers.
Or teachers.
I'm just kidding.
Door replacement, the middle school door, and going out to the kitchen, or going in and out of the kitchen. That should be resolved in the next 2 weeks. The library door at Lincoln as well. Both those are recently painted, and we're waiting for Doyle Glass to install it. The leafy green project.
It's on the agenda tonight. It's on the addendum.
We'll probably be starting on that here shortly, possibly. Just leveling ground to put the trailer down. We are making upgrades throughout the district with LED lighting. As ballasts go out, we replace the bulbs with LED. We bypass the ballasts altogether. This will save the district money. The fixtures, this saves approximately $16 a fixture in ballast, and the LED bulbs will last twice as long, if not longer. HVAC replacement, we're due to start replacing filters. This usually takes approximately about a week by the time we go through, make sure belts are tight and on the motors and check throughout the units. Turf tank, I want to thank you all for supporting us on that. The field, that was a baby for me. I enjoyed going to the football games and seeing that out there and getting the kids to really, some of these kids they won't play college football. So to have that experience and see that field with Parsons Vikings on it and just.
Nice and clean and crisp.
Yeah.
It
was beautiful.
Well, and I think that news story got picked up everywhere. I talked to somebody from Kansas City that watched it, so that was,
I got picked
It
up.
was very impressive.
So thank you guys for supporting that. Finished projects, Washington School, of course.
So drive by, if you haven't driven by.
Yeah.
It takes my breath away each time I
Yeah,
think.
it's amazing.
The grass is popping up.
It
Yeah.
is, it's gonna be really
Huge
nice.
space.
That, it
Nice.
is.
It's so much bigger than you think.
Yeah.
It's a nice green space.
And then the HVAC I say it's done. And Tim will touch base on that as well. We're nearing it. We're definitely nearing it. The kitchen remodel at the high school, it's completed. I think it went fairly well. It was quick and we got her done. Window replacement district-wide has been taken care of. And then future projects, I know this is just touching base with a few of them. The high school, we're getting ready to start. We discussed that today. And I think that's going to move fairly quick.
That's what they're planning. That's what we hope for.
Alarm upgrades as well as fire panel upgrades throughout the district in the years to come. The alarm upgrades will be significant. I think that'll be a great attribute for the future. Soccer field repairs is yearly wear and tear. We're going to start overseeding that and trying to get it greener longer and take care of a few divots in there. Custom windscreen around the football field along with a ramp for the handicap area at the football field we're going to focus on this summer. Installation of commercial washer and dryer at the high school. We've got residential units right now and some of these uniforms are pretty expensive throughout the year and we need to, I think, invest. So to say. And everyday repairs of the daily maintenance.
Okay.
The guys stay really busy.
Looks great.
They work really hard.
Tell me about the ramp for the handicap area at the football stadium.
So we kind of walked into this one this year, and as we went down to the football stadium, we noticed, like, we kind of looked at each other, kind of like, where did
Where's
it go?
the lift? Yeah.
Our ramp, the elevator was completely gone.
Right.
So Lori and I
Yeah,
kind
and
of talked.
the city had removed that. It wasn't always functioning with the floods and different things like that. It's been repaired numerous times, but this time they removed it. And so then it was right before the first ball game, we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? So we set up areas on the field for people to sit if they needed to, but Eric's done some research coming up with something else, or maybe a ramp instead of a lift, or a different kind of lift that can withstand some.
And we reached out to a company out of Wichita, and they were Tulsa and Wichita, and Tulsa resorted us back to Wichita, and it was $31,000 for a lift, like they'd taken out. That was with them installing it. I got to looking around, and we could find lifts for $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And ramps were about $7,000, and like we discussed, Marble has a history of flooding.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought maybe a ramp would be a long-term solution we don't have to worry about.
Mechanical things.
Yes.
How does that work as far as the ramp and the windscreen and everything else, as far as the city actually owning the property?
So when I called and asked about the lift, they said, well, you can do whatever you want. And I said,
Pay for whatever you want.
Yeah. But we'd need to work together on that. So I think they would be open, the windscreen, I'm not sure that, I'd have to see if that would be something they'd be interested or willing to pay for or to help pay for. We have done some lighting things, we've done some restroom things. Typically, we've split the cost of those with the city and with the rec center. We'll split things in thirds.
Yeah,
Sometimes
fair.
it'll just be us and the rec, just depends. But we felt like, we want for people to come and tailgate at the parties, I know, before the ball games, that's a fun thing, but we want for them to come inside the stadium and to watch the game. And then, so we're gonna focus on that. And that way our law enforcement and staff can be inside the gates, in the stadium with the students, really focused on why we're there, which is to support our kids in their athletic endeavors. So we're looking at that, in addition to the ramp.
Any other questions on the maintenance aspect here? Okay, Tim, you got it?
Okay, as you know, we replaced all 9 RTU rooftop units at the middle school, replaced the new roof, put new downspouts, guttering. It's all been taken care of. That were replaced. We had issues with brand-new units, unfortunately, 8, 9, and 1 had a bad, like a little electric motherboards in them that were bad. One of them had a moisture problem that we could see that caused it. They replaced those. There was some things that weren't wired in, that didn't get wired in, that they found. The train tech came back and after he, run his testing, still found some issues. All those issues are resolved. The only thing left is number 6 has a bad display board, but the unit is running fine. It's the heat and cooling is working. We're having issues with some VAV boxes, which is also when the Q-Tab, as the company came and did the balance on the system, they put these meters on the vents to see how much pressure. And there's the pressure in the building is what our static pressure is, and that's what they tested for. And part of when they tested it, they maxed these VAV boxes out. And when it does that, the computer doesn't see it correctly, and that's causing some of these VAV issues. But once they get it's a recalibration put in on the system is such a complex deal. Once they get this recalibration into the system with the elite automation here that's doing the graphics, that'll take care of the VAV issues. Out of 75, 80 VAVs in the building, we're only having a problem with like 5 or 6, so it's just trying to weed out the bugs. But the boiler system's all up and running. We'll be able to see it now. We had to put in an expansion tank that was causing pressure issues. It's 20 years old, and that was having pop-off valves because it was over-pressurizing the system. And the glycol, which Lori knows, I've told her it's expensive. I mean, it's like for a 30-gallon barrel is $700, and we got to keep our system at 30%. There's 2,000 gallons in our system, and we had to put in 12 barrels at that's $600-700 a piece. So when you have a pop-off in there goes, a couple $100. So that's what we was trying to get those issues resolved. So it's getting there. I've been on them. I mean, I average 45 calls a week, easy. That's a slow number. Usually I'm on the phone trying to get these people here, get it resolved. So it's been a long process, but we're finally getting the middle school hammered up. The grade schools have been fine, knock on wood, people are learning the new thermostats and stuff like that. There's still some old ones around that I'm getting them on that. We're trying to get the middle school, because like I said, it's so complex. I was pushing to get that one, done like it should be. I keep telling them that's what we're paying you for, that's what so I keep on and, calling, and they come and they come and they come. So, but it's getting there. So it's down to just fine tuning pretty much. Thank goodness. And then, of course, today we had a meeting with Dean Norris, and I gave you maps. And y'all got those. There's 31 rooftop units that we're replacing in the system. And the other map is that's how they bid this out. We had it in 4 sections. They put it in 5, and then we did what we could afford in budget. So all the yellow that you see, there's 31 total. That's how many they're going to replace on the high school. That being said, it's weather permitting. All the units are supposed to be ready by the 12th or 11th of December is when they want to start bringing them to the high school and staging them in the parking lot. We had a meeting today with Dean Norris, with Chad Marlowe, Eric, Lori, and the administration from the high school, Rob, principals, because I need everybody on the same page. Because, can we put this here? Can we, this is what's going to happen. You can't, when they're running the crane, insurance-wise, they don't want anybody in that part of the building. And it will be a hard hat situation. So the week of December 11th, they're gonna start bringing all these units in. And we're gonna put them in the parking lot over by D-Wing. Every D-Wing is where on the west side, or excuse me, the east side of the building, by the old annex building, just across from it. We got room in there, and they'll be on cameras, because God forbid we had a brand-new unit get broke into at the middle school on the ground. So they're gonna be sitting there from December 11th till 18th. When they, 18th, they're gonna start putting them on the building, picking off, putting on. So
from the 18th until January 2nd, I've told them at the rec center, because they do use our facilities sometimes, they're not going to be able to use our facilities during those 2 weeks, because the time frame is so tight, and the priority goes
Safety.
to Dean Norris
If they go
and
quick,
his
like
group
they
and
think
safety, for sure.
They've had another place at the school that they worked on, and they said they did 9 units in 2 days. Well, you know, that's moving, but that's without issues either. But if they do 9 in 2 days, that tells me they're gonna be hopping right down, you know, and then they're gonna be over here, and it's like, oh, you was over there yesterday, you know, you can't be there, you know.
So the building will be closed,
Yeah.
is basically what we're
And
saying.
they're gonna have a pretty good sized crane, which we're gonna have to make sure, because of the weight of the crane, there might be like issues with, they could break concrete or something. They're gonna take pictures of the sidewalks and stuff, in case they break something, they're responsible for that. And because of the weight, it can't be over like a storm sewer, you know, because it'll go right through it. That's what the issue we had with high school. That thing was so big, they had to come and walk through first and make sure they could put it there. You know, there's nothing underground that could cause trouble. But, yeah, they think they can move it maybe 5 to 6 times, is what they've been telling me. 5 different spots for this crane. But he said today, and that's the first time I heard it said, his name's Jason McCartney. He's the project manager for Dean Norris. And the first time I heard, he said, well, no, we won't be in the grass. We shouldn't be able to have our crane in the grass, because we had a sprinkler system. We had, you know, they could make ruts. This is December, you know. Then here you're dealing with ruts in your yard and stuff like that with the rest of school, you know, getting that. So he's saying that he won't have to get in the grass and mess up the yards. But we'll start to watch damage to sidewalks and things like that. But like I said, they're going to start taking off the units on the 18th. And he said also the first week they'll be Monday through Friday, 7 to probably whenever, depends how late they work. And the second week, of course, that's Christmas week. They're going to work Tuesday through Friday. They're only going to take 1 day off. As far as weekends, he said that just maybe if they had issues, you know, get something buttoned up. Something like, say, Friday afternoon, you might have to finish it the next day. But, yeah, 31 units.
It'll be nice to have all the units functioning at the high school, and we expect they'll be ready when students return.
2006 units.
Yeah.
Life expectancy of an RTU or HVAC system is 15 years, so we're over that. And they're the oldest units in the district, I believe, is on the high school.
Right. And they've been working on coming up with a list, a spreadsheet with all of the units in the district and the year that they were created or born, and the year that then they were installed. So we have an idea of actually where we're at district-wide, and can build then a facilities and a replacement schedule similar to what we have for the buses, so that it isn't in 10, 20 years when we may all be gone, someone says, oh my gosh, where are we going to come up with the money to do all of those at one time? Whose idea was that? So we can begin to build in that replacement schedule. So they've been working on that.
2016, we did the energy audit, and there were a lot of units on the grade schools that were replaced at that time, so they're only 6 years old or so. So there's a lot of 2016 units. So, but there are some others that are getting age on them as well.
Any questions for Tim? All right, well, thank you, men.
Thank
Sure
you.
appreciate
Very
your time.
thorough
And
report.
thank you.
Yep.
And please don't be afraid to call me, ask me questions, you see me. I say I get at least 30, 40 calls.
He's happy to give
I got
updates.
like 600 phone numbers in my phone now.
He stays pretty busy.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to report on the November Tri-County Board meeting.
We approved the accounting software. As we know, even here, the maps is going away. We approved Software Unlimited, which I think is the one that we have adopted here as well. We also approved purchase of a phone system. The phones we have, the co-op has are way outdated, and they got a really, really good deal on the phones. Did that. Also, there is a legislative luncheon coming up in January. I believe it's like the 12th of January, somewhere in that time. Someone should go with Lori to that. And we also talked about the director's evaluation, and have got that in place to be finalized next month.
Any further questions for Mr. Castle? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to 10.0, action to accept donations to schools.
All right, this is page 42 in your packet. Donations to the district office from the Parsons Area Community Foundation, Parsons Education Foundation, LaForge Family, books for the Lincoln School vending machine, valued $1,300. That was the total there. Lincoln, there were no donations for the month of October. At Garfield, there was an anonymous donor that made a restricted donation for parent-teacher conference meals of $250. Tank Connections also made a donation for restricted for our kids fund, which is a fund that is given to our counselors and social workers so that they can buy things that students in need. That was valued at $500 for $750 total. At Garfield, Guthridge PTO made a restricted donation for conference food, $175. There was another anonymous donor who made a donation for conference food, $250 for a total of $425 to Guthridge. At the middle school, an anonymous donor made a donation for conference meals valued at $300. The high school had 4 donations for the month of October. Levette Bank softball scoreboard, $250. Commercial Bank softball scoreboard, $1,000. Bowen Pharmacy softball scoreboard, $500. And an anonymous donation to the Garden Club for $29 for a total of $1,779. The high school, total district donations for the month of October, $4,554. So I would recommend that you approve those generous donations.
Also move.
Moved and seconded to approve those donations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 10.1, discussion and action on lease agreement with the Parsons Recreation Commission.
All right, so this is on page 43 through 46 in your packet, and this is just a yearly lease agreement. Now, there is a caveat in the agreement that it can be written for more than 1 year if the board elects to do that.
Is this just the same one that we did last year?
This is the same one that we
Okay.
did last year. It wouldn't require any kind of changes or anything like that. It would just be a yearly
Renewal?
renewal.
I recommend we just move it year to year for now.
Yeah, because of the salaries.
Yeah, I think it's fine, yeah. So I need a motion on that.
I move to approve the lease agreement with the Rec Commission.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve that lease agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. 10.2, actually, upon further review, when we sat down and really looked at this MOU with the city and with the rec center was necessary when we were building the soccer fields, but now that the soccer fields are built, this isn't applicable.
Yeah.
So I think what we did was think, oh my gosh, we're supposed to do this yearly thing, and I'm like, put both of those things in there, and then when we got to looking at it, no,
It doesn't require action.
it does not require any action. So
we're going to,
I would remove it.
yeah, we'll delete 10.2 from action. 10.3, discussion and action on a memorandum of understanding with the state hospital.
All right, okay, so every year, there's a plan that the state hospital writes, and they have to have a plan in case there were an emergency, like where they would take people, what they would do, backup plans. And so they had an MOU with 503 clear back in 2011, and it just hadn't been updated. It was something they assumed they were doing. And then when Marla went through it and looked, she realized, oh my gosh, we need to do this. Now, they also have an agreement with 506 because if it's a natural disaster, that's probably going to have an impact on our facilities as well. But if it isn't a natural disaster, if it's just something at the State Hospital and Training Center, they'd like to be able to use our facilities, our gym, those kinds of things, for emergency purposes. Any kind of cost that would be related to that would be covered by the State Hospital and Training Center, and that was all outlined in that MOU, so.
Is that the same one that was passed at
Yes.
11?
It is. It's on page 50 through 53. I would recommend that you approve it.
I have a question first. So on item number 2, where we would be responsible for coordinating sheltering and relief efforts and housing, setting up temporary shelters, evacuating, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So who staffs this? 503, FEMA, Red Cross?
It would probably be a combination, but the person in charge, Marlis from the State Hospital and Training Center, we met last week with Dr. Dixon, they would have staff that would be in charge of getting their staff and their clients, residents, where they needed to be.
All right, so that,
It would be a community effort.
is that part of the memorandum?
Yes.
Their staff? I don't read
I
that.
read I didn't read that either. I didn't understand it. Any
Well,
of
it talks about cooperating agencies, be it that
In other
all
words,
the
who's in
resources and
charge?
facilities.
You?
If it were in our building, I would assume that one of our staff would be in charge of the building. State Hospital and Training Center staff would be in charge of their residents.
That's why I read 2 as we're in charge. We accept
Right.
responsibility for coordinating. So I think we're the
Right.
leadership in paragraph 2, Lou.
Right.
We're the ones running the
All
show.
right, so to clarify,
In-
we are in charge of
In
Our
housing.
facilities and so forth.
In our facilities, we're in
Temporary
charge.
what's a temporary
So like,
shelter?
okay, so am I gonna put you in the auxiliary gym? Am I gonna put you in the main gym? Am I gonna put you in the community room? That would be something that our staff, that
Okay,
we
just-
would get to
Just
decide.
for clarification,
Mhm,
because
sure.
because FEMA could be involved and so could the Red Cross.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then who's in charge?
Well, obviously, we have to, when FEMA's running the show, we
Okay.
have to probably follow their lead.
But FEMA's
our
not gonna
facilities-
come
I
in
don't know if nothing ever
uninvited.
happens, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Seeing that this hasn't been done since 2011?
Right.
It should have been.
It should have been. It just wasn't. There was, I
Jerry
mean,
signed the last one, and that's been.
Linda
Yeah, it's been
did.
some time ago.
Linda did, when she
Yeah.
was the superintendent in 2011,
Yeah.
so.
All right, okay, I'll move that we accept this.
Okay.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding with the State Hospital and Training Center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 10.4, discussion and possible action on therapy dog policy.
Okay, in the stack of additional paperwork you received, this was what was in the view last week in regard to my recommendation for the therapy dog policy. It's pretty straightforward, basic. It's what Bueller uses as well. We have a number of therapy dogs in the district, and so this would just make sure and allow that that everyone is properly trained and has the vet things, and this would help alleviate any kind of liability, but also clearly articulate what the expectations are and the procedures for having a therapy dog. That way we don't have, someone who says, oh, I'm gonna bring my dog. No, and we don't have that. That is not a problem that we've had at all. But this clearly articulates it has to be a dog that's trained, it has to have vet records. There's a process for notifying the students in a classroom that there will be a therapy dog, so in case there's an allergy or something like that, the dog could be assigned, maybe to a different room or a different location. However, all of these therapy dogs are owned by USD 503 staff and employees, so.
So do these dogs wear any identification?
Yes.
So a stranger comes into the building and
Yes.
they know it's a therapy?
They'll know it's a therapy dog. And our kids have been taught from the time they're little, you don't pet, you always ask if you can pet. So there's a whole lot of training that goes on with students, and with visitors. But yes, that's a good question, and they're always, they've got little vests that say therapy dog. Or some of them will say therapy dog in training, as they're working through that process. They've all done the training currently with the professional Good Boys, Good Dog, Good Boy professional group with Adele. So
I move that we accept this policy unless there's more questions.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the therapy dog policy as printed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 10.5, discussion and action to set a special board meeting date to discuss the student achievement data.
So we'd like to meet in January to go over that student assessment data and then achievement data like we did last year, where the principal and the instructional coach, they're going to provide a one-page summary for each of their buildings, and then I'll get food, and you can come, you'll rotate around the tables and visit with each individual building to talk about their student achievement, their interventions, their explicit instruction. January the 10th, January the 11th, or January the 17th.
So those are dates that the two new board members could make work. And so since we've got two new board members coming on in January, at the January meeting, which is going to be an early meeting since we moved to the second Monday, rather than the third Monday in January, right?
Yes, that's correct, January 8th.
So our first board meeting will be the 8th, and so this will be after that. And so I need to get my calendar kind of finalized, and so this is the first time hearing of these dates too. So why don't you figure out which of those dates will be okay for you, and then send them to Lori so that we can get something on the calendar here relatively soon.
So January.
What time of day are we talking?
January 10th.
5 a.m. is
Just
when we like to do it for you.
That's what I'm asking.
No, we'll do it of an evening.
Like we did before.
Of an evening, yeah.
January 10th, which is Wednesday,
I remember.
January 11th, Thursday, and January 17th, which is another Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday's church night.
Thursday, I vote Thursday, 11th.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
David has church on Wednesdays too.
Olivia, did you have a preference, or do you want to check your calendar? and let
Wednesday's
me know?
church night.
Wednesday's church night, okay. January 11th. Okay, so it looks like it'll be January the 11th.
Okay.
How about the two new board members may not be able to make it?
I've cleared those dates with them. They were both available, all three of those dates.
Yeah, so we'll tentatively kind of say January 11th. I don't think it needs action yet, and then
what
make
time?
sure we get it finalized. What were you thinking, 6 o'clock?
I was thinking 6 o'clock, 5:30 or 6 o'clock is what I was thinking. That way, if you have to work, that'd
6
be
o'clock,
easiest.
fine.
You did
6.
pizza last year at like 5:30, then we started at 6 or
Something like that.
All right, so we'll get that finalized, and then we'll deal with that, and talk about that again, but let's just kind of pencil in tentatively January 11th.
Okay.
Okay, then we've got 10.5A, action on a memorandum of understanding for Leafy Greens Farms.
Okay, and so we got that last, Thursday or Friday. So it is attached in that packet of information. It was included in your view. I got an email today. They would like to bring the farm on November the 28th. It's right around the corner. So,
November the 28th.
November the 28th.
Sweet.
Next.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, this is the one that's been provided in Lebec County. This memorandum of agreement is a 5-year agreement. However, both parties retain the option of terminating the agreement by simply expressing that and returning the trailer. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with Leafy Green Farms.
Second.
Moved and second to approve the memorandum of understanding with Leafy Green Farms LLC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So we're going to be moving on to an executive session. How much time do you need tonight?
I'd say less than 10 minutes.
Okay, so we'll need a little bit of time as well. So I'd say probably 15 minutes. Need a motion in that regard.
Move that we go into executive session for 15 minutes.
I second it.
Okay, moved and second to go into executive session to discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under COMA, the exception for employee-employer negotiations under COMA, and the exception relating to actions adversely or favorably affecting a student under COMA at 7:14. Actually, will be 7:15 by the time we get this done. For 15 minutes, we'll return to open session at 7:30. We will start off with the superintendent and assistant superintendent, and then they may leave the room during executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, so we were in executive session for 15 minutes. Okay, it is 7:30. We are back in open session. We're moving to item 10.7.
Okay, so we've got recommendations for employment. Curtis Arnold, high school part-time evening custodian, effective October 30th, 2023. James Cower, sub-custodian, effective November the 1st, 2023. Amber Davis, Lincoln Behavior Support Aide, effective November the 14th, 2023. Crystal Johnson, Guthridge, part-time evening custodian, effective November the 13th, 2023. Douglas Palmer, bus driver, effective January the 3rd, 2024. Adam Payne, high school assistant debate coach, effective November the 3rd, 2023. Piper Sanders, Lincoln part-time evening custodian, effective October 27th, 2023. I recommend that you approve those folks for employment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those for employment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
All right, we've got some resignations for employment, 10.7. Chelsea Brinson, Lincoln Behavior Support Aide, effective November the 10th, 2023. Landon Collins, high school evening custodian, effective October the 19th, 2023. Jalen Largent, Guthridge Title I aide, effective December the 1st, 2023. Avery Perez, preschool aide, effective December 15th, 2023. Jeff Scheibe, middle school assistant track coach, effective November 15th, 2023. Terry Smith, middle school VSP teacher, effective December the 14th, 2023. I recommend that you approve those resignations from employment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those resignations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
All right, we have one termination from employment, Rebecca Robinson, child nutrition staff, effective November the 20th, 2023. I recommend you approve that termination.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve that termination. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. No further business.